A very good morning to all and welcome to NParks Spotlight. I'm Leslie and I'm from the National Biodiversity Centre at the National Parks Board. Thank you for joining us again both on Zoom and YouTube. I hope all of us are enjoying the long weekend, and to our Muslim friends, Selamat Hari Raya Haji. It is now August and this is the 8th talk in the NParks Spotlight series. Showcasing our local biodiversity, we are live every Saturday morning from 10:30 to 11:30 in the morning, and you can join us on Zoom or stream it live on NParksSG YouTube channel. Our forests provide refuge for some of our rarest creatures, such as freshwater fish, which we'll be learning about today. A diverse but vulnerable group, they rely on pristine freshwater streams to survive. And next week, as we move towards National Day, we'll have a special topic featuring crabs that are endemic to Singapore. But moving on with today's program, here is our lineup for this morning. I am nearly done with the introduction and will soon bring in our speaker for today, Yixiong, who is a senior manager at the National Biodiversity Centre. If at any time during the presentation a question strikes you, do send it to me, Leslie, as a private message using the Zoom chat, and we'll try to address a few of them during the Q&A. Right now, let's hear from Senior Manager of the Terrestrial branch at the National Biodiversity Centre, Cai Yixiong, who will be sharing with us about fish in our streams. Over to you, Yixiong.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Yixiong from National Biodiversity Centre, National Park Board. Today, we share with you a topic on fish in our stream. What differentiates a fish from any other animal? Fish is firstly an aquatic vertebrate, an animal living in the water with backbone. Fish have gill, helping the fish to swim. Helping the fish to obtain oxygen in the water. Water coming from the mouth and going out from the gill cover, and the gas take place at the surface of gill filament. Fish have fins, which help the fish to swim. Different kind of fins locate at different places, and they serve a different purpose. For example, swimming forward, turn around, or just keep an upright position, or simply stop the fish. Today we just cover freshwater fish. Fish that complete their entire life cycle in freshwater, we call it freshwater fish. They have certain physiological adaptation. For example, when the gill be able to refill the dissolved oxygen, they able to keep the salt in the body freeze. And the fish have a very developed kidney, which are helping fish to reclaim salt before the body fluid be excreted. There are another adaptation that have this scale. Freshwater fish tend to have a developed scale, which to reduce the flow of water coming to the body. Freshwater fish lost too many scale with dying. So there are two kinds of freshwater fish: primary and secondary freshwater fish. Primary freshwater fish refer to fish that evolved directly from the freshwater environment. They cannot live in salt water, while the secondary freshwater fish have their ancestor coming from sea enter freshwater environment. For example, tilapia and scoby fish. This kind of fish normally can still live in salt water. So, importance of freshwater fish. In freshwater stream system, fish eat small prawn and also eat smaller macroinvertebrates. Sometimes they eat the big fish will eat smaller fish. At the same time, fish excrete nutrients in dissolved form, which are available, easily available by algae or plant. Fish itself also prey for predators like bird, snake, otter. So by doing this way, fish help to mediate nutrient cycling, contribute to stability of stream ecosystem function. Of course, we know fish is healthy food, provide daily animal protein for people. Some species of fish, for example, mosquito fish, gabi, is very often being introduced as a mosquito control agent. In many of inland areas, people rely on river fishery for their living. They also rely on freshwater culture to earn a living. And in Southeast Asia, aquarium trading is one of the prominent industry. Singapore as an aquarium trading center in the region, every year this aquarium trading generates a large sum of income for Singapore. Next, we'll talk about some interesting traits of freshwater fish, include several stages of life cycle and some interesting behavior listed here. Give birth. Majority of fish in Singapore practice external fertilization. The mating pair, egg, and milk at the same time into the water, and the baby fish hatch out from fertilized egg. But some of species, they carry out internal fertilization. For example, this introduced fish of garbage and mosquito fish, they have adapted to modify the anal fin, become a very special structure, log shape, elongated, and the male have this structure, and during the mating period, they approach female to insert this structure into the anal opening of the female and to expel the milk, the sperm into the female body for fertilize the egg. The female will keep the egg, fertilized egg, until the fly hatch out and then exhale from the anal opening. Locally, we have two species of heartbeat which are produced in a similar way, but the particular structure of the male for transport sperm is different. Baby in the mouse. After spawning, one of the parent fish, mostly male, will pick up the fertilized egg and put into their mouth. Water coming from the mouth and going through the gill chamber will help to elevate the eggs, and this fertilized egg will be kept until the baby hatch. And only when these baby fish are free to fend themselves, the parent will, before that, the parent will keep them in the mouth. By this way, they will protect the babies from eating away by other animals as well. So locally, we have fighting fish, Malayan betta, and we have snakehead, and introduced species, Asian arowana and some tilapia species have this kind of behavior called the mouse brooding. Next, let's look at a video. Mouse brooding behavior by tilapia. So you can see the fly, so many of them in and out the parent mouse. Very interesting, right? Ghost versus color pattern. Freshwater fish normally take 2 to 5 years to reach sexual maturity. And after that, they may still can grow, but in a much slower rate. The young of some fish, the color pattern can look very different from the adult. It's two examples. One is the giant snakehead, which you see the young, the fry have a red color body and two very distinct stripes. It's totally different from the adult. Another species is this spotted bug. When they are young, there are a lot of small black dots across the whole body. When they grow up, they tend to disappear one by one and eventually only let two, one here, only two, very small. And do you know that the age of fish actually can be known by examining the marking on the scale? This is like when we count annual ring of a scale, we will be able to know how old the fish is. Is it compatible to the gold ring in tree? Interesting, right? Majority of feeling and touching. Majority of fish use this lateral line system to help them sense their environment, sense the surrounding. But a group of fish have developed the tactile organ. For example, the catfish have several pair of bubbles to help them to sense the surrounding. The tip of the bubble can tell the fish when they're moving around whether a subject in front is the object in front is edible or is something that the fish need to avoid. The gourami have a tip of the pelvic fin greatly elongated to become a thread-like filament. It functions similar to what the bubble of catfish doing. Feeding behavior. We introduce some interesting feeding behavior. Aquatic carnivore. Locally, we have two species of fish, which are one is a slip fish, one is a pithead. They look like a dead leaf, and they tend to present as a dead leaf among the real dead leaf, and behave in a critical way. Intention is to try to blame themselves into background and don't get intention from from their prey. Sometimes they remain motionless and can drift away to get as close as possible to the prey. And when the prey is within their range, they suddenly open the big mouth and engulf the prey. unsuspected prey become food of the fish. Aquatic anteater. Fish specialize to feed on ant or insect, tend to live on water surface or slightly lower than water surface. Then this heartbeat have a very special adaptation. They have a considerable size of low draw and up floating mouth, which are special adaptation for feeding on the surface. So these fish normally have very sensitive system to sense what is happening in the water surface, especially when an ant drop to the water and struggling to get up, then they will sense and very quickly come to the prey. Sketching. Once this armor catfish, sucker catfish, is an introduced species, but it's aquarium trading subject, and very often now we can see outside natural reserve. Some of swim in outside natural reserve. The lip of these fish are modified to become a sucker teeth-like, which help these fish to attach to some hard substrate, and they can also use this lip, this sucker, to scratch the algae and very tiny organisms for their food. So locally, there are some a lot of aquarium keepers keep these fish in their tank. Simply want this fish to become a cleaner for their tank. Fish out of water. Some species of fish can survive out of water for a limited time, as long as they keep their body wet. Normally, these kind of fish have a certain morphological adaptation. For example, this snakehead have a cylindrical body and have a very strong high body, which can, when they're shaking, propelling the fish moving forward. Climbing perch don't look like cylindrical, they are compressed, but they have this adaptation of gill cover when they are on land, when they are out of water. The gill cover can open widely, and here have a very small spine, which are helping the fish to stand upright. And when they shake their head, the fish is moving forward. Catfish or walking catfish have advantage of both species. One hand, they have a cylindrical body, elongated, can propel the fish moving. And on the other hand, the head area, the pectoral fin, have a very rigid, hard spine, which can help the fish to stand and walk on the land. It similar function as the gill cover, but it's different structure. Some eel have a very slimy and elongated body. They move on land. It's like gliding, similar to the way that worm or snake move on land. Here, a video showing a walking catfish moving from a small pool, which the water look like going to dry out. Then they move, walk along to another water body, which have deeper water. You see, the catfish, the head and the whole body is shaking and move very quickly, really like walking. Now going to the deeper water. Can fish drown? Yes, but that only happen to a group of fish, like breathing air breathing fish. This kind of fish have a very special structure called labarium organ, which are located at the upper part of their gill chamber. Labarium organ help the fish to breathe atmospheric air, and this kind of fish, because of the development of this labarium organ, the normal gill inside the gill chamber will become less developed. It's a trade-off. So compared to normal fish, this group of fish called labarium fish cannot live inside the water for long. They have to regularly come to water surface to breathe the atmospheric air. If they are denied from access water surface, for example, trapped in the water, they may die, drown and die. Locally, the fighting fish, climbing perch, and 2 species of gourami and Malayan pithead all have this labarium organ and called labarium fish. Some eel have similar air breathing organ, but it's on the high gut. So where do they live? Where can we find freshwater fish? Now in our natural reserve, still exist quite a number of forest streams in very nice looking, for example, like all this. They have similar characteristics as like well settled with shallow, water is cool, slow flowing, very clean, running over sandy or muddy clay substrate, which have accumulation, mostly have accumulation of this litter like this. It's quite surprising to see like in Singapore, we still have such very beautiful stream running in our natural reserve. And yes, it's real. And in fact, they are supporting majority of our native freshwater fish species. Swamp pool is connected to the stream channel and actually form part of the stream which are running over freshwater swamp. It's slightly open as compared to the much open compared to the stream channel, supporting more species number as compared to stream channel. And forest pond, which compared to this swamp pool, is the largest, deeper, and open. This kind of habitat supporting native species, and at the same time, they also can find some introduced species there. We also have rural stream, mostly found outside natural reserve, either vegetated or open. This kind of stream normally have sign of anthropogenic influence in terms of hydrology and biodiversity. Mostly fish find living inside is a mixture of native and introduced species. Artificial pond, urban drain, and reservoir, all these are very familiar by people in Singapore. And majority of fish found in these 3 types of artificial structure, water body, the exotic species introduced from other countries. Next, we'll go through some of freshwater fish, either very common or very rare to be found in Singapore. First one is the saddleback, or sometimes called common back, means quite common in our freshwater stream. They have very prominent big black spot here, and there are one small one here. These fish are omnivorous, means they're feeding on plant, animal, whatever available to them. of course, the smaller one, invertebrate, very small. They also for organic debris. They are very active swimmer, normally found at middle to lower water or pool, moving in group. We can found in central natural reserve, Bukit Timah and Western Catchment. There are one introduced species can be confused morphologically with this Setoba. You look at these two. This one is called indoor Chinese spotted bar, not native, but this species normally only found outside natural reserve. It have a similar pattern, but the spot here is much smaller. T-bar have a very distinct T marking on the body. Similar to previous species, they are omnivorous, active swimmer. In fact, very often two of them found together. Found in Central Natural Reserve and Bukit Timah. Compared to previous species, this one less common. And because of this marking, it's a popular aquarium track fish. Malayan pygmy Freshwater, very small, only up to 3 cm. It's quite rare, listed as a critically endangered in Singapore Lake Data Book. They are found from slightly acidic shallow water, can be found from Central Natural Reserve. Barbellus champella, this have a high body, and omnivorous also, currently quite rare and only found through our survey last 3 years, only a few streams in McVitie catchment. And this is the endangered species in Singapore Lake Data Book. Six-banded tiger bark. We have 3 species of tiger bark: 4-banded, 5-banded, and 6-banded. Only this 6-banded is a native species found inside forest stream. The other 2 are outside natural reserve. And compare this 4-banded and 5-banded. This 6-banded one in a lower body, and of course the number of bands is 6. And omnivorous, they like slightly acidic water, can be found in Central Natural Reserve. It is a popular aquarium fish, and because of quite very rare, they are listed as critically endangered. Harlequin Freshwater, compared to 6-banded bark, this one is a much common. They feed on invertebrate, like to move in a group as a 10 to 20 individual, found in forest stream and swamp pool. Could be found in quite a number of streams in Central Natural Reserve and listed as an endangered species. Spotted eel lodge is a eel-like, very small eel-like animal with a small bubble, have this spotted pattern across the whole body. Very cute, right? They are omnivorous and they like to live in acidic water. Only found in Nisun swamp forest. It's an endangered species. Gray-banded sand lodge, quite rare. It's again, it's omnivorous and only found in Nisun swamp forest. Currently, it's critically endangered. These fish prefer fast-flowing acidic water. Dwarf bumblebee catfish. Again, very rare. I think it's the rarest species when we do our survey. We only found several occasions, and each time we only get 1 individual. It critically endangered, only found in Nisun. Feed on small invertebrates. Hardset lip catfish. These fish are very funny. They look like a very compressed and like a lid. Only a very small dorsal fin here. They feed on small invertebrate, nocturnal, solitary. Means they are hiding under lip litter and only come out to hunt during nighttime. prefer acid water in forest stream. Again, they are only found in eastern swamp forest, and this is a critically endangered species. Singapore wati catfish, very small, only 3 cm in adult, and prefer acid water, also critically endangered. Again, this is only found in eastern swamp forest. Slender working catfish, compared to other catfish species in local, we have forest catfish, working catfish, we have a common working catfish. This one relatively slender in the body form, and have the dorsal fin and the anal fin continue almost linked to the tail. They are nocturnal and omnivorous, can be found in Central Natural Region and Bukit Timah. It's critically endangered in Red Data book. This platform spiny eel, it had developed a very special structure in the mouth. That's now become an elongated proboscis structure, which are helping the fish to stand and find a tiny organism within the sandy substrate. Very, very cute. And this fish again is nocturnal and solitary, only active at night, only found from eastern swamp forest. Again, is a critically endangered species. The gobies, big mouth gobies, found mostly found only outside natural reserve. They prefer fast flowing water. They have this similar to other goby. It's a heavy fin with feet to become sucker teeth. This is a kind of secondary freshwater fish. I think in Singapore, most of our species are primary freshwater fish. Sunda lip fish, earlier on we already talked about this fish. It can ambush to feed on prey, solitary, high under lip litter, and it's very rare. Only found in several streams in Macritchie and Bukit Timah. Currently, this subject for species recovery program conducted by NParks. Mayan betta fighting fish is one of most common species found from streams in Singapore, and there are two color forms. One have two black stripes, the other one have a green tiny green scale. They're very common, feed on insect and other invertebrates. Can be found in Central Natural Reserve, Bukit Timah, and Western Catchment. Malayan pithead. This the second species look like a tap dip and narrower as compared to the Sunda lip fish. Critically endangered because they are quite rare, only found in eastern swamp forest. Dwarf snakehead is another species of critically endangered and very rare carnivore, hunt small fish and invertebrate. This fish prefer shallow muddy forest stream. It could be found from Central Natural Reserve and Bukit Timah. The very beautiful color pattern. Look at the orange eggs on the fin. Black snakehead. Again, very rare, nocturnal, hiding under lip litter and only come out to hunt during nighttime. Critically endangered, found from Central Natural Reserve and Bukit Timah. Yeah, so how many species of freshwater fish are there in Singapore? According to most updated information that we have, currently there are 42 extant native species, include 12 critically endangered and 3 are endangered listed in Singapore Red Data Book. 10 species means now they are still living in Singapore. Interestingly, we have same number of exotic or introduced species which are established themselves in Singapore water. If you count the total number of introduced species, we have 123, but not all the species survive long in Singapore water. When we talk about established introduced species, we refer to species which have a sustainable population and they are still found somewhere in Singapore. Mostly, I think all are outside natural reserve. According to our historical record and compared to current species list, there are 26 species being regarded as extinct from Singapore, which are these 26 species previously found in Singapore but now disappeared. Include this Bectatomi, a bigger fighting fish, which when scientists describe this species, it actually based on specimen from Singapore, but when they publish the new species, there are no live specimen in Singapore already. So possible reason for past extinction is mostly because of conversion of forest for plantation in earlier settlement and impoundment for reservoir, canalization, alteration for surface runoff, and waterway management. So what is the threat currently facing by our freshwater fish? Still, land use is perhaps the most prominent one. Water management, by spillway management, by the reservoir operation, climate change, either flooding or extreme drought pattern more and more found in Singapore, and changing water quality due to pollution or sometimes they're due to, for example, acid rain. Poaching for aquarium attracting, we mentioned that some species in Singapore is actually aquarium attracting subject. Invasive alien species, which I will go into a little more detail. This invasive alien species issue is getting more and more problematic. More and more exotic species being introduced into Singapore through aquarium trading, and as compared to other countries, we have much higher number of established introduced species in our urban area, artificial water body. And according to historical record, 1934, we have reported there are 7 established introduced species in Singapore. And now the number, as just now we mentioned, go up to 42. So why we are worried about it? Impact of these introduced species. They compete for food and shelter against our native species. They may directly predate on our native species. Compared to our native species, most of these exotic species are much bigger in size. And they could be a vector for disease and parasite to affect our local fish also. So the mitigation will be with monitoring, long-term monitoring, and when we see the exotic species come into our forest stream, we try to remove them as soon as possible. So currently, so far so good. Most of these species are only living outside natural reserve because some conditions, for example, acid, slightly acid, cool water may not preferred by this kind of fish. But we need to monitoring. And one of other mitigation measures is to upgrade non-release campaign, which discourage people for bringing or release this unwanted introduction. City in nature. Early this year, Ministry of National Development announced that National Park Board would work with community to transform Singapore into a city in nature. So this is a new vision built on what Singapore has achieved for city in a garden. And this new vision will be guided by 4 key strategies listed here as extending our natural capital, intensify nature in our garden and park, and restoring nature into the built environment. And lastly, it's strengthening connectivity among this green space. If we walk along this line, in terms of aquatic habitat, freshwater stream, and their associated fauna, we try to extend our freshwater or forest stream network to beyond currently the natural reserve and natural park surrounding the natural reserve. So in a way that we should try to carry out stream restoration, rehabilitation, and habitat enhancement for stream, rural stream, or waterway across the whole island. And by this way, following the more and more native species will extend their distribution boundary to go into the urban area. That is what we hope. So again, follow up with NParks effort on conservation of freshwater fish. Policy-wise, we have developed conservation master plan on stream and aquatic fauna. We revise reg data book based on updated data. NParks also try to involve in earlier stage of land use planning through interagency consultation as well as environmental impact assessment process. In terms of management, we had conduct long-term monitoring program on stream and species. We have start to implement stream restoration, rehabilitation, and habitat enhancement. For research, we had conduct ecological study to understand the distribution, abundance, and habitat requirement of certain species. And we also try to understand life history and ecological trait of this rare freshwater fish species. Currently, we conduct species recovering program for some of species like the Sundalip fish. And we conduct research to understand hydrological process and ecological function of stream in biodiversity hotspot. Although Singapore is so small and so urbanized, right? But you surprised to know that actually during our survey, we're still finding new record species. And we believe the more you search, the more you find. And we also believe there are still new species waiting to be discovered. So as a public, how can you contribute to conservation of freshwater fish? You can volunteer to help with upcoming Central Natural Reserve stream survey. You can also participate in Operation No Release campaign to against unintended introduction. You can also help us to report sighted poaching in natural reserve and natural area. Okay, I think this is the end of my talk, and I will now hand over time to Leslie.
Thank you, Yixiong. So we've learned about some of the distinguishing characteristics of fish, and then we were wowed by some of the more unusual traits that a few species have. You then introduced us to some of the local species that we have in our streams and what are some of the efforts to conserve them. So now we'll move on to our Q&A. Thank you to all those who submitted questions. So the first question we have for you, Yixiong, is what is your favorite freshwater fish?
My favorite freshwater fish. I have a lot. But firstly, I think the six-banded is my favorite. Yeah. Because they are quite rare and very interesting. You cannot get it from local aquarium shop. It's a native, and we through our survey we only found several locations. So every time when we see one, I'm very happy. Then
Okay. Okay, thank you, Yixiong. So the next question for you is, where can I find streams to observe fish?
I think the best stream you can access to observe fish is the stream running along the Windsor Natural Park. If you go along the trail, you will see a stream, and if you go all the way to the treetop walk, after the treetop walk, along the boardwalk, you will see another stream in running across the boardwalk. Over there, you can observe fish as well. But better to bring a pair of binocular with you, which can help you to observe the fish more clearly.
Okay, so the answer to this is that there is a stream at Windsor Nature Park after the treetop walk. And Yixiong's tip would be to bring a pair of binoculars to help you observe the fish. And I think under the current situation, if you are planning to head to the park, do abide by safe distancing measures and wear a mask and heed the advice of any safe distancing ambassadors if you meet any. And it's a good idea to also check the Safe Distance at Parks website before heading down, just to check the crowd levels. And that will be safedistparks.nparks.gov.sg. All right, our next question. Can we go to the forest streams in nature parks or nature reserves to observe fish?
You cannot go into the forest stream because if you go into the stream, you will affect the hydrological condition of stream. The water quality will be affected, and the fish living inside will be disturbed. So you cannot go into the stream unless you have a permit. So for researchers to do a stream survey, we need to apply research permit from NParks. This is a way to make sure the work will be done in a professional way and to minimize the impact to the stream system.
Okay, so the answer to this is no, you cannot go into forest streams, as Yixiong pointed out, that they are very delicate habitats. So regulations are in place to make sure that any activity has a minimal impact. And one example would be that there are only those with valid research permits can go and do surveys that access these areas. The bottom line is that all these measures are in place to protect these animals and their habitats. Our next question is it illegal to catch fish in the forest streams?
Yeah, it's illegal. Go ahead, please.
Yes.
And if you see someone doing that, report to NParks as soon as possible. And yourself also try to persuade them not to do that.
Okay, so to answer this question, yes, it is illegal. So do not catch fish in forest streams, only do fishing at designated fishing areas. Okay, the next question is, how do fish eat while still keeping the babies in their mouth?
Just now when you see the video, actually the baby not just keep all the time within the mouth, they can come out for short while. So during that time, the mother can still feed themselves and not affecting this mouth brooding process.
Okay, so they do not eat while their babies are in their mouth. Is that right?
No, they can eat, but not affecting the baby, because the baby can be in and out for a while. Yeah.
Okay, I hope that answers the question. Now let's see what we have next. Are there opportunities to volunteer to survey local streams?
Yes, we just now the last slide we mentioned, we are going to survey the Central Natural Reserve stream, and yeah, just keep contact to NParks, then volunteer yourself when we need someone to help, we contact you.
Okay, so yes, there are opportunities to volunteer. Just keep a lookout for updates from us, from NParks. And the next question that we have is, are there any guidebooks you recommend to learn about Singapore's freshwater fish?
Yeah, there are, so far, I think there are three, I will recommend three guidebooks. One is a very small pocket guidebook, very earlier time, 1990s, published by Science Park. And it's a guide to the freshwater fish of Singapore. Second one is published by Natural Society Singapore in 2008 and reprinted in 2012. It's a wild animal of Singapore, a photographic guide to mammal, reptile, amphibian, and freshwater fish. Recently, we also published NParks and NUS while doing a collaboration on Yishun Swamp Forest. During the study, we have published a book, a guide to freshwater fauna on Yishun Swamp Forest, which is available online.
Okay, so there are a few titles that Yixiong recommends, published by Science Centre, Nature Society. And the latest one that he mentioned, the Guide to Freshwater Fauna of Nisun Swamp Forest, is available online, and we will be sharing the link in the chat for any of our audience members who are interested. And finally, to just wrap up this session, Yixiong, what is one surprising thing about freshwater fish that you have found during your work with NBC?
Yeah, I think for the work that I had done with NBC, I found the Nisun Swamp Forest, the stream in Nisun Swamp Forest, having a very high number of freshwater fish as compared to other parts of natural reserve. There are 30 native species as compared to 42 found in Singapore. And think about the area of Nisun is only about 5.1 kilometers, while the whole Central Natural Reserve is 37.1. Basically, there are also among the 15 red listed species, 12 critical endangered species. In Nisun, we can find 11 species of these critically endangered, and 7 of them only found in Nisun, not other part of Singapore stream. And the 3 endangered species, 2 of them can be found in Nisun. Yeah, this is what striking me, such a high number of Nisun swamp, and they are so pristine, so nice habitat. We need to protect and to understand well the hydrology and biodiversity so that the species living there can be sustainable in the long run.
Okay, so Yixiong highlighted the Nisun Swamp Forest and how it is an area of conservation significance, given how rich it is in freshwater fish species and the fact that there is a pristine habitat there, which is definitely worth protecting. So this actually is a nice transition to something that I would like to highlight. Yixiong has briefly touched on some of the conservation strategies and conservation strategies to protect our endangered freshwater fish species. And these are all part of the Nature Conservation Master Plan, a systematic and multifaceted approach to conserving our biodiversity and transforming Singapore into a city in nature. For more information, do check out the links being shared in the chat or watch our first NParks Spotlight talk on YouTube. In it, our group director, Lim Liang Jim, outlines this plan. All of our previous talks can also be viewed on our YouTube channel, so do check them out. We've covered nocturnal mammals, turtles, birds, spiders, and habitats both on land and out at sea. So there's something for everyone, whether you're a nature lover or new to learning about biodiversity. We also hope to see you again in our upcoming talks every Saturday in August. National Day is coming up next weekend, and we'll be celebrating with a talk about crabs. Not our famous chili crab, but did you know that we have crab species in Singapore that cannot be found anywhere else in the world? Yes, these are some uniquely Singaporean species, and you can learn about them with us. Do register to join us on Zoom or stream the talk live on the NParksSG YouTube channel. The registration link will be shared in the chat soon. And with that, I'd like to thank Yixiong and our audience in both Zoom and YouTube for joining us today. I hope you've enjoyed the session, and we'd love to hear your feedback, so do scan the QR code on my screen. To find out more about this series, visit our website or connect with us on social media. The links for all these are being shared in the chat. So thank you all for attending today's session. We hope you have a great weekend. Take care and stay safe.